I sat at the kitchen table, coffee in hand. Thursday morning, my routine. The sun came through the window the way it always did. 8:15. I'd already watered the roses, fed the birds. Now it was time to check my phone. Emma's dance recital photos from Monday, Jake's soccer practice, the grandkids. I scrolled through my messages, nothing from David yet. I'd texted him yesterday about the wedding, asked when they'd set a date. He'd been engaged to Amber for 6 months now, living together for 2 years. I figured they'd tell me soon. Let me help plan. That's what mothers do. My phone buzzed. Amber's name on the screen. I smiled. Finally, wedding details. I could help with the guest list, the flowers. Maybe they'd have it at the lake cabin. Tom and I got married there, 45 years ago. Well, 45 years in September. I'd been planning to suggest it. I opened the message. We got married yesterday. I stared at the screen. Read it again. Yesterday. Wednesday. They got married. Past tense. I set down my coffee cup, picked up the phone, read it a third time. We got married yesterday. Exclamation point. Cheerful. Like she was telling me about a good restaurant, a new movie, something casual. My son got married, and I wasn't there. I looked at the timestamp, 7:42 this morning. She'd waited, slept on it, woke up, had her coffee, then told me. Not before, after. The coffee cup sat on the table, steam rising. I didn't pick it up. My hands were shaking. I typed back, fingers fumbling. What do you mean? When? Where? 3 dots appeared. She was typing. Courthouse. Just us. Simple ceremony. We'll send pictures. Just us. I read those 2 words over and over. Just us. Just David and Amber. Not me, not Patricia, David's sister, not Margaret from down the street who'd known David since he was 12. Just them. I tried to remember. Had I done something wrong? Said something? Amber had been distant lately, pulling back, but I'd thought it was wedding stress, planning, normal stuff. I called David, straight to voicemail. Hey, it's David. Leave a message. The same recording he'd had for 5 years, casual, light, the David I'd raised. I didn't leave a message. What would I say? I sat there, phone in my hand. The morning light had moved across the table. My coffee was cold now. I hadn't noticed. 43 years ago, I'd planned my own wedding with Tom. 6 months of planning. My mother helped with the dress. His mother handled the flowers. We got married at the lake cabin. Tom's father built that cabin with his hands. Everyone was there. Family, friends, the people who mattered. I'd always imagined being part of David's wedding, helping him pick the venue, meeting the florist, walking him down the aisle if that's what he wanted, or just sitting in the front row, watching my son start his life with someone new. I wasn't invited. I wasn't even told. I looked at Amber's message again. We'll send pictures. Pictures. Of a wedding didn't attend. Of a day I wasn't part of. My phone buzzed again. A photo. David in a suit. Amber in a white dress. Courthouse steps. Big smiles. I zoomed in, looked at David's face. He was happy. Really happy. And I wasn't there to see it. I set the phone down, stared at the kitchen wall, the photos hanging there, David's school pictures, David and Tom at the lake, David graduating college. Every milestone, except this one. I thought it was a mistake, a misunderstanding, something we could laugh about later. Remember when you forgot to tell me you got married? We'd fix it. Have a reception, celebrate properly. I didn't know it was the beginning. Let me back up. Tell you how we got here. My name is Linda Morrison. I'm 67 years old. I taught 3rd grade for 35 years. Retired 3 years ago. I live in a ranch-style home in the suburbs. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Paid off. The house where I raised David. I've been a widow for 8 years. My husband Tom died suddenly. Heart attack. He was 59. Too young. We'd been married 39 years. High school sweethearts. Got married at the lake cabin his father built. Had David a year later. Tom died when David was 34, old enough to be on his own. But losing your father is hard at any age. I watched David grieve, helped him through it. We got closer after Tom died, just the two of us, mother and son. For 8 years, it was enough. David's 42 now. Consultant, middle management, makes decent money. He'd been divorced for 6 years when he met Amber. First marriage ended badly. I paid his attorney fees, $12,000, my retirement savings. I didn't mind. He needed help. That's what mothers do. He met Amber 2 years ago. Online dating. She's 34. Pharmaceutical sales. Makes good money. More than David, actually. Polished. Professional. Always put together. Hair perfect. Makeup perfect. The kind of woman who irons her jeans. I was relieved when they started dating. David had been alone too long. Working too much. No social life. I worried about him. So when he brought Amber to Sunday dinner, I was happy. Finally. Someone to take care of him. I should have paid more attention. The first red flag came at Thanksgiving, 18 months ago. We were at my house. David, Amber, me. I'd made the usual spread. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, Tom's mother's recipe for green bean casserole. The meal I'd made for 40 years. We were eating, making small talk. Amber mentioned her mother. Casual, like she was talking about the weather. "My mother was so controlling," she said, knife cutting through turkey. Overbearing. Couldn't make a decision without her input. I had to go no contact when I was 23. Best decision I ever made. She said it matter-of-factly. No emotion. Like she was describing a business transaction. I remember feeling uncomfortable, not because of what she said, but because of how she said it. Cold. Detached. Like cutting off your mother was normal. Easy. I should have said something. Asked more questions. But I didn't. I didn't want to pry. Didn't want to be that mother-in-law, the nosy one, the one who asks too many questions. So I just nodded. Changed the subject. Talked about the weather. The second red flag came 6 months later. Spring. I'd been seeing Emma and Jake every Thursday for 3 years by then. My routine. Pick them up from daycare. Bring them to my house. We'd bake cookies. Garden. Play in the yard. Then David would pick them up around 6. Every Thursday. For 3 years. Amber called one Tuesday. Said they needed to talk about the schedule. "We appreciate everything you do, Linda," she said. Voice pleasant. Professional. "But we think it might be good to give you some space. Maybe every other Thursday instead?" Space. Like I'd asked for it. Like I needed a break from my own grandchildren. "Oh," I said, caught off guard. "Is something wrong? Did I do something?" No, Amber said quickly. "We just think it's important for us to establish our own family routines. Healthy boundaries, you know." Healthy boundaries. I heard that phrase a lot over the next year. I didn't argue. Didn't push back. I said, "Okay. Every other Thursday, even though it hurt, even though I looked forward to those Thursdays all week." I told myself she was right. They needed their own routines, their own family time. I was being included every other week. That was enough. Except it wasn't just Thursdays. The third red flag came at Emma's 5th birthday party. My house, I'd offered to host, make the cake. Emma loved my chocolate cake with vanilla frosting. We'd made it together every year since she turned 2. I was in the kitchen, putting candles on the cake. Emma ran in, excited, wanted to help. I gave her the pink candles, her favorite color. She started arranging them on the cake, humming, happy. Amber walked in, saw Emma with the candles. "Emma, sweetie, what did I say about sugar before bedtime?" Emma looked up, confused. It was 3 p.m. "But Nana said, 'We don't do sugar before bedtime, Linda.'" Amber's voice, firm, correcting me like I was a child. "Emma knows the rules." I stood there, candles in one hand, lighter in the other. "It's her birthday," I said quietly. "I understand, but we have rules for a reason." Emma put down the candles, walked out of the kitchen. I heard her crying in the other room. I should have said something then, should have stood up for myself, for Emma. But I didn't. I apologized, said I didn't mean to undermine her parenting. Amber smiled, said it was fine, said she knew I meant well, but I felt dismissed. Small, like I didn't matter. I told myself I was overreacting, being too sensitive. After all, Amber was Emma's mother. She got to make the rules. I was just the grandmother. My job was to support, not interfere. I'd raised David alone after Tom died. 35 years old, suddenly a widower with a son. Every parent-teacher conference, every middle school drama, college tuition, $42,000 from my teacher's salary, double shifts for 6 years, down payment on his first condo, $18,000, my retirement fund. His divorce attorney fees, $12,000 when the first marriage ended. I'd given him everything, not because I wanted credit, because he was my son. And now his wife was correcting me about birthday cake, but I kept quiet, kept the peace. That's what I did, what I'd always done. Emma and Jake. Those 2 kids were my joy. Emma's 6 now, 1st grade, gap-toothed smile, loves to draw. Every picture she makes has a pink rose in the corner, because we garden together. Well, we used to. Jake's 4, preschool, obsessed with fishing, uses his grandfather's old rod, the one Tom taught David with. Jake never met Tom, but he knows him through my stories. Tell me about Grandpa, he says every time he visits, every time I take him to the lake cabin. That cabin. Tom's father built it in 1972. Tom and I got married there. David learned to swim there. Emma and Jake spent every summer there, swimming, fishing, building forts in the woods. It was ours. Family legacy. The place where we were happiest. I didn't know Amber had other plans for it. Margaret noticed the changes before I did. Margaret Chen, my neighbor, 2 houses down, 70 years old, retired librarian. We met at Garden Club 4 years ago, bonded over roses. She grows prize-winning hybrid teas. Mine are more practical. Hardy shrubs, less maintenance. Every Wednesday, Garden Club. Every morning, we'd wave from our driveways when I got the mail. She stopped by one afternoon with a casserole. Tuna, my favorite. "You okay, Linda?" she asked, standing on my porch, casserole dish in hand. Haven't seen the grandkids' car in a while. I deflected, made excuses. They're busy, school activities, soccer, dance, you know how it is. Margaret looked at me. That look librarians have, the one that sees through everything. "If you need anything," she said, "I'm right here." I thanked her, took the casserole, closed the door. I should have told her then, should have admitted something was wrong, but I didn't. I was ashamed, embarrassed. What kind of grandmother loses access to her grandchildren? What had I done wrong? I kept telling myself it would get better. Amber would relax. David would stand up for me. Things would go back to normal. They didn't. David mentioned once, casually over coffee 6 months ago, that Amber's mother had been controlling, overbearing. Amber went no contact at 23. She says she'll never let anyone control her life again, David said. I understood boundaries, but I didn't know she saw me that way. I wasn't her mother, I was David's mother. There's a difference. But maybe she couldn't see it. Tuesday evening, 2 weeks before the wedding text, book club at Barnes & Noble, mystery novels, our usual genre. Janet brought coffee, Carol brought cookies, Ruth brought the latest Michael Connelly. We were talking about upcoming events. Ruth's daughter was getting married in June. Carol's son graduated college. Janet's granddaughter made honor roll. "What about David's wedding?" Janet asked. Innocent question. Normal conversation. "Oh," I said, smiling, hiding. "They haven't set a date yet. Soon, I think." "You must be so excited," Carol said. "Planning a wedding, mother of the groom dress shopping, all that fun stuff." I nodded, agreed, said I was excited. But the truth was, I knew nothing. No date, no venue, no guest list. Amber hadn't asked for help. David hadn't mentioned details. I was completely in the dark. And I was too afraid to ask, too afraid to seem pushy, controlling, like Amber's mother. That Friday, Emma's school picture arrived in the mail. School photographer had sent it to my address, still on file from last year. I opened the envelope, stared at her gap-toothed smile. 6 years old, first grade, and I realized something. I hadn't seen her in 3 weeks, not since before the wedding I wasn't invited to. 3 weeks, and I'd been making excuses, telling myself they were busy, believing the lies. But they weren't busy. They were avoiding me. The wedding text was Thursday. By Friday, I knew something was wrong. Friday morning, day after the wedding text, I texted Amber about our usual Thursday visit next week. "Hi, Amber. Can I pick up the kids next Thursday? Our regular time?" I waited. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. This week doesn't work. Kids have activities. Activities. On Thursday, our Thursday, the day we'd been doing for 4 years, I tried again. "Okay, how about Saturday then? We're busy. I'll let you know when we have time." When we have time, not when works for you, when we have time. I set down the phone, stared at the message. Something felt wrong. Week 2, I tried again. Different approach. "Would love to see Emma and Jake this week. Any day works for me." Amber responded 6 hours later. "Not a good time. Maybe next week." Maybe next week. Week 3, Memorial Day weekend. I'd been planning this for months. Lake cabin tradition. Every Memorial Day since Emma was born, we'd swim, fish, roast marshmallows. It was our thing. I called David this time. Didn't want to text, wanted to hear his voice. He answered on the 4th ring. "Hey, Mom." "Hi, honey. I wanted to talk about Memorial Day weekend. The cabin, I was thinking we could—" "Oh." He cut me off. Uncomfortable. "We're actually doing our own thing this year." Our own thing. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Amber wants to start some new traditions, family traditions. Just the 4 of us. Just the 4 of us, not 5. 4. I'm family," I said quietly. Silence on the other end. "I know, Mom, but Amber thinks we need to establish our own routines as a unit. As a unit. Like I was outside it, separate. David, I've been seeing the kids every Thursday for 4 years. Now I haven't seen them in 3 weeks. Is something wrong? Did I do something?" "No, Mom, you didn't do anything. We're just busy. You know how it is." I didn't know how it was. 3 weeks ago, I saw them every week. Now I didn't see them at all. Can I at least talk to them? Say hi? "They're at a play date right now. I'll have them call you later." They didn't call. Saturday morning, week 4. I went to the grocery store, needed milk, bread, the basics. I was pulling into the parking lot when I saw it. Amber's car, silver Honda, distinctive bumper sticker. Coexist in rainbow letters, parked outside Starbucks. I pulled in, told myself I was being ridiculous. It was a coincidence. I'd just say hi, see how they were doing. I walked toward the coffee shop, looked through the window. There they were, all 4 of them. Amber, David, Emma, Jake, sitting at a corner table. Emma was drawing. Jake was drinking hot chocolate, whipped cream on his nose. David was on his phone. Amber was reading a magazine. Saturday morning. They were free. I stood there, frozen, watching through the glass. They'd said they were busy, too busy for me. But here they were, together, relaxed, like they had all the time in the world. I should have gone in, should have confronted them, asked why. They'd lied, but I didn't. I turned around, walked back to my car, drove home. The whole way, I kept thinking, they lied, or Amber lied, and David went along with it. I got home, went straight to my office, pulled out my calendar, the paper one I'd kept for years, teacher habit, write everything down. I flipped back through the pages, started highlighting. Green for every Thursday I'd seen Emma and Jake, red for cancellations. January 2020, green. February, green. March, green. Page after page, 4 years, 48 consecutive Thursdays, all green. Then, February 2024, the month before the wedding, first Thursday, green, second Thursday, green, third Thursday, red. Amber canceled, kids tired. Fourth Thursday, green but only 2 hours, usually it was 5. March, wedding month, first Thursday, red. Too busy? Second Thursday, red. Activities? Third Thursday, red. Not a good time. Wedding. Wednesday, March 20th, post-wedding, 4 Thursdays, all red, except one. One visit, 45 minutes, supervised. Amber stayed the whole time. I sat there, staring at the calendar. The pattern was obvious, undeniable. Before wedding, green. After wedding, red. I heard a car in the driveway. Panic. I shoved the calendar in the drawer, closed it, walked to the living room. David. Dropping off mail that had been sent to his old address. My address. He still got mail here sometimes. Hey, Mom. Casual, like nothing was wrong. Hi, honey. I smiled, forced it. What brings you by? Just dropping this off. He handed me the mail, looked around. You okay? Fine, just doing some organizing. He nodded, didn't push, left 5 minutes later. I waited until his car pulled away. Then I went back to my office. I was hiding, in my own home, hiding my calendar, hiding my concern, hiding everything. That's when I knew. Something was very wrong. Tuesday, garden club. Margaret brought a casserole, chicken and rice. She saw my face, knew immediately. What's wrong? I tried to brush it off. Nothing, just tired. Linda. She set down the casserole, looked at me, talked to me. I broke. Told her everything. The wedding, the canceled visits, the Starbucks sighting. I think something's wrong, but maybe I'm overreacting. Margaret didn't say much, just listened. When I finished, she reached into her purse, pulled out a business card. Susan Rothman, attorney at law, elder law, family rights. She's helped a friend of mine. Grandparent visitation case. I stared at the card. I don't think it's that serious, I said. Maybe not. Margaret put the card on my table. But if it is, you'll need help. She left. The card stayed. That night, I couldn't sleep, got up, made tea, opened my laptop, Facebook. I hadn't checked it in days. Notification. Amber had posted photos, tagged David. I clicked. Wedding album. Our day, our way. I scrolled through. Courthouse steps. David in a navy suit. Amber in a white dress. Simple. Elegant. Friends. Commenting. Beautiful. Congrats. So happy for you. My book club friends. Linda, you must be so proud. I kept scrolling. Then I saw it. Emma, in a flower girl dress. Pink, holding a small bouquet. Jake, in a little suit, carrying a pillow. Ring bearer. My grandchildren. At the wedding. The wedding I wasn't invited to. They were there. Emma and Jake were there. Part of the ceremony, while I sat at home. Drinking coffee, checking my phone. The album had 42 photos. Emma and Jake were in 15 of them. Smiling, happy, included. I wasn't in any. I sat in the dark kitchen, laptop screen glowing, scrolling through photos of a day I wasn't part of, a day my grandchildren were. I made chocolate chip cookies that weekend, triple batch, Emma's favorite. The recipe we'd made together since she was 3. I packaged them carefully, put them in the freezer, because there was no one to give them to. The freezer was getting full, 3 weeks of cookies, frozen, waiting. Monday night. I couldn't help myself. I drove past David's house around 8. Dinner time, lights on, cars in the driveway, David's truck, Amber's Honda. I could see them through the window, kitchen table, family dinner, Emma, Jake, David, Amber, together, inside, while I sat outside, in the dark, watching. I drove home, alone. The wedding text was Thursday. By Friday, I knew something was wrong, but I kept telling myself it would get better. Then I found the real estate inquiry. Tuesday morning. I couldn't sleep. Got up at 5, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table. The calendar was still in my drawer. I pulled it out, spread it across the table. But I needed more than green and red highlights. I needed something concrete, undeniable. I opened my laptop, created a spreadsheet, teacher brain, organized the data, make it clear. Column 1, date. Column 2, planned visit. Column 3, actual visit. Column 4, cancellation reason. I went back 4 years. January 2020. The first Thursday I'd picked up Emma from daycare. She was 2. Jake wasn't born yet. I typed each visit, each Thursday. The routine we'd built together. 4 years, 48 Thursdays, every single one documented. Then I got to February 2024, the month before the wedding. My hands started shaking. I set down my coffee, picked up my pen instead, started highlighting on the paper calendar while I typed into the spreadsheet. Pre-wedding, 48 consecutive Thursday visits, green, every single one. Post-wedding, 6 weeks, 1 visit, 45 minutes, supervised, cancellation excuses documented. Kids are busy, 3 times. They're tired, twice. Activities, once. I read the numbers 3 times, checked my math, verified the dates, 48 to 1, in 6 weeks. It wasn't my imagination. It wasn't me being too sensitive. This was deliberate, calculated, a pattern. I sat there with the calendars spread across the kitchen table. 4 years of Thursdays, green, 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 then red. I realized something had broken, and I didn't know how to fix it, but the calendar was just the start. I couldn't sleep that night either. 2 in the morning, wide awake, thoughts racing, the lake cabin. Amber had mentioned it once, casual comment. That's a lot of property for one person. I'd brushed it off at the time, but now I opened my laptop again, searched the county property records, public information. Anyone could access it. 42 Lakeview Drive, my address. Tom's name had been on the title until he died, then just mine. I clicked through the records. Transaction history, tax assessments, everything normal. Then I saw it. Recent activity. 3 weeks ago, right after the wedding, someone had requested a market value assessment, real estate inquiry, public record. I clicked on the details. Name on inquiry, David Morrison, my son, asking about the value of my property without telling me. I sat there, 2 in the morning, staring at my laptop screen, blue light in the dark. The cabin wasn't just memories. It wasn't just the place where Tom and I got married, where David learned to swim, where Emma and Jake spent their summers. It was equity, $385,000 according to the county assessment. And someone wanted to know how much it was worth. The cabin wasn't the only thing they wanted. I called the listing agent the next day. The number was on the public record. Property inquiry, real estate company. A woman answered. Pleasant voice, professional. Hi, this is Linda Morrison. I own the property at 42 Lakeview Drive. I saw there was a market inquiry on the public record. I wanted to follow up. Oh, yes. Keyboard clicking. Let me pull that up. Morrison. Here it is. Can you tell me who requested the assessment? Your son called, David Morrison. He said you were thinking about downsizing, asked about selling timeline, market conditions, standard questions. I gripped the phone. I never said that. Silence on the other end. Uncomfortable. Oh, well, he seemed to think maybe I misunderstood. What exactly did he say? That you were considering selling the cabin. Wanted to know what it might go for. I told him comparable properties in the area were selling for $350,000 to $400,000, depending on condition. Updates. Did he ask about anything else? He wanted to know how quickly properties were moving, if it was a seller's market. I told him most lakefront properties sell within 90 days. I thanked her, hung up. She forwarded me the email, covered her tracks. David Morrison inquired 42 Lakeview Drive, asking price estimate, $385,000. Timestamp, March 22nd, 2 days after the wedding. I stood on David's porch the following Saturday, dropping off mail that had come to my house, bills, junk. His old address still on file for some things. I heard voices through the window. Amber, David, kitchen, talking. I should have knocked. Should have gone in. But I didn't. I stood there, listening. Amber's voice carried. She's always had good projection, pharmaceutical sales training. Your mom needs to update her will. We're your immediate family now. The cabin should go to Emma and Jake anyway. I stood on the porch, heard every word. This wasn't about boundaries. This wasn't about healthy family routines. This was about assets, property, money. I left the mail in the mailbox, walked back to my car, drove home. That's when I knew this was calculated. Tuesday. I met with Margaret's friend, Susan Rothman, elder law attorney, office in town, professional, mid-50s, kind eyes. I brought everything. The calendar, the spreadsheet, the property inquiry, the agent's email. Susan looked through it all, quiet, taking notes. Grandparent rights are limited in this state, she said, looking at me over her reading glasses. But you have an established relationship, 4 years of weekly visits. That matters. Documentation matters. She tapped the spreadsheet. This is good. Clear pattern, concrete evidence. What can I do? We can pursue visitation rights, court-ordered schedule, but it's not guaranteed. We'd need to prove the relationship is beneficial to the children and that restricting access isn't in their best interest. What about the cabin? That's yours, your property. As long as you're alive and competent, no one can force you to sell or transfer ownership. She paused. But I'd recommend updating your estate plan. Make sure everything is protected the way you want it. I nodded, took notes, teacher habit. Start documenting everything, Susan said. Every visit, every cancellation, every conversation, text messages, save them all. If we need to file, we'll need evidence. Susan said one word, documentation. I had plenty. Margaret had been keeping her own record. She'd noticed. 6 weeks, 1 visit. I didn't want to say anything, she told Susan over the phone later, but I saw the pattern too. Book club that week, Tuesday evening, Barnes and Noble. I was late, rushed, distracted. Janet, Carol, Ruth, already there. Coffee ordered, book open. I sat down, tried to smile, failed. Linda, Carol touched my arm. What's wrong? I broke, told them everything. The wedding, the visits, the property inquiry, all of it. They were shocked, silent, then rallying. You're doing the right thing, Janet said, firm, definite. We're here for you, Ruth added. Whatever you need. Carol just hugged me, didn't say anything, didn't need to. I'd kept it private for so long, hidden, ashamed. But telling them felt right. They'd noticed my absence the past few weeks, made sure I knew they'd seen. I made more cookies that weekend, Saturday afternoon, Emma's chocolate chip recipe, the one we'd perfected together over 4 years. I packaged them, labeled them. Saturday, April 13th. Put them in the freezer. The freezer was full now, containers stacked, weeks of cookies, frozen, waiting. I looked at the lake cabin photos on my phone. Last summer, Emma fishing off the dock, Jake with his first catch, both of them laughing, happy. That place might be sold now without me knowing, without asking. Monday night, I was texting Margaret, updating her, telling her about the attorney meeting. Attorney meeting Tuesday. Susan wants more documentation. I hit send. 3 dots appeared immediately. Wait, I looked at the name. Amber, not Margaret. My stomach dropped. Attorney? For what? I stared at the screen, panicking. What had I just done? I typed back, hands shaking. Estate planning, just updating things. Please let her believe it. Please. Oh, good idea. You should get that sorted. I exhaled. She'd bought it. But then I realized. She thought I was updating my will, updating the estate plan, in their favor. She thought I was playing along. The mistake had revealed something, their assumptions, their expectations. I had the evidence. What I didn't have was the courage. Not yet. I kept thinking about Christmas. 3 years ago. Tom was still alive. December 24th. My kitchen. David was helping with the turkey. Basting. Checking the temperature. Making jokes about his cooking skills. Or lack of them. Emma was at the table, decorating cookies with me, sugar cookies shaped like stars. She got more frosting on herself than the cookies, green frosting on her nose, red on her fingers. She was laughing. Jake was in the living room with Tom, building a Lego tower. Tom had this way of making everything special. "Look at that, Jake. You're an engineer." Jake was 2, didn't know what an engineer was, but he beamed anyway. Dinner at 6, all of us around the table. Tom carved the turkey. David told stories from work. Emma showed us her cookie decorating. Jake fell asleep in his high chair before dessert. We laughed. We talked. We were family. 3 years. That's all it took. 3 years to go from that to this past Christmas, 2 months ago. Before the wedding I didn't know was coming. Amber texted, "Doing Christmas at our place this year. Small gathering. You're welcome to come. 2 to 4. 2 to 4? 2 hours. On Christmas." I arrived at 1:55. Didn't want to be late. Didn't want to seem pushy. Knocked on the door. David answered. Smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. The kids were in the living room, opening presents. Presents I didn't know about. Hadn't helped pick out, didn't know existed. I sat on the couch, watched. Emma got a bike. Jake got a train set. Both of them excited, happy. I'd brought gifts, too. Wrapped them weeks ago, educational toys, books, things I thought they'd like. Emma opened hers, smiled, said thank you, set it aside. Went back to the bike. I stayed until 3:45, 15 minutes before my time was up. Made an excuse. Said I had dinner plans. I didn't. I cried in the car, all the way home, alone in the dark. 3 years. That's how long it took to go from family to guest. Sunday afternoon. I couldn't sit still anymore. Couldn't watch TV. Couldn't read. Couldn't do anything but think. I went to the kitchen, made coffee, spread everything out on the table, calendar, spreadsheet, property inquiry, email from the agent, Susan's notes. The afternoon light came through the window, the same window I'd sat by for 30 years. Same kitchen, same table, different life. I looked at the evidence, all of it, laid out in front of me. The coffee went cold, I didn't notice. I was reading, rereading, processing. 48 Thursdays to 1, $385,000. Your mom needs to update her will. Wedding photos without me. I picked up Emma's school picture, the one that came in the mail. Gap-toothed smile, 6 years old. Set it down. Picked up Susan's notes. Grandparent rights are limited. Documentation matters. We can pursue this. Set them down. Outside, I heard kids playing, neighborhood kids, laughing. Their grandmother was probably watching, probably part of their lives, probably invited to things. The light moved across the table. An hour passed, maybe 2. I lost track. My mind kept circling. Same thoughts, over and over. Maybe I was too involved. Maybe Amber was right. Maybe I needed to give them space. Let them be their own family unit. Step back, accept it. But then I'd look at the calendar again. 48 to 1. That wasn't space. That was erasure. Maybe I should just let go. Stop fighting. Stop documenting. Stop caring so much. Make it easier on everyone. But then I'd see Emma's picture. Jake's smile, Tom's cabin, the family we'd built. I sat there until the coffee went cold, until I couldn't put it off anymore. And I realized this wasn't going to stop, not unless I stopped it. 43 years I'd spent being the good one, the accommodating one, the one who kept the peace, the one who didn't make waves, the one who put everyone else first. That ended today. I picked up my phone, called Susan, left a voicemail. This is Linda Morrison. I'm ready. File whatever we need to file. I want the mediation option, but I want the petition ready to go if they refuse. I'll come by your office this week. Let me know when. I hung up, set down the phone. My hands were steady. Tuesday, Susan's office, downtown, professional building, 3rd floor. She had the paperwork ready, 2 options laid out on her desk. Option 1, she said, reading glasses perched on her nose. We file for mediation, court-ordered attempt at resolution, neutral third party. You, David, Amber. We negotiate visitation schedule, communication boundaries, everything on the table. I nodded, taking notes. Teacher habit. Option 2, we skip mediation, go straight to filing a petition for grandparent visitation rights. The court decides, more adversarial, takes longer, costs more. What do you recommend? Mediation first. Susan looked at me over her glasses. Shows good faith. You tried to resolve it peacefully. If they refuse or it fails, then we file the petition. Judge sees you exhausted all options. How long does mediation take? Scheduling, 2 to 4 weeks. The session itself, 2 to 3 hours. If we reach an agreement, it's binding. Court-ordered. They have to follow it. And if we don't reach an agreement? Then we file the petition. That process can take 3 to 6 months. Court date, testimony, evidence presentation, the whole thing. I thought about it. 6 months. Half a year. Without seeing Emma and Jake. Or seeing them once in a while. Supervised. Controlled. I want mediation, I said, but I want the petition drafted and ready. If they say no to mediation, we file immediately. Susan smiled. Small. Approving. That's smart, she said. Shows you're serious, but you're willing to negotiate. I wasn't negotiating anymore. Not really. I was setting terms. Boundaries. My own this time. I'll send the mediation request today, Susan said. Their attorney will respond within a week. We'll get it scheduled. I left her office feeling different, lighter, not happy, not relieved, but clear. I knew what I was doing. For the first time in months, I had a plan. I drove to the lake cabin, hadn't been there since last summer, since the kids, since everything was normal. The drive took 40 minutes. Highway, back roads, trees. The smell changed as I got closer. Pine, lake water, home. I parked in the gravel lot, walked to the cabin. Key still worked. Door creaked open. Inside, everything was the same. Tom's workshop in the back. Fishing rods on the wall, Jake's favorite, Emma's tackle box, pink, with stickers. I walked through the cabin, 1 bedroom, small kitchen, living room with a fireplace. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Tom's father built this place in 1972. Tom proposed to me here. We got married on the dock. David took his first steps on this porch. Emma learned to swim off that dock. Jake caught his first fish there last summer. I found the photo album, left here from our last visit, summer pictures, Emma with a sunburn, Jake holding a tiny bluegill, both of them muddy, happy. This place wasn't mine to give away. It was theirs. Emma's and Jake's, their legacy, their grandfather's work, their memories. I took photos with my phone, documented the cabin, the dock, the property, evidence for Susan, proof of the kids' connection to this place. Then I locked up, drove home. On the way, my phone rang. Patricia, David's sister. Hey, Linda. Hi, Patricia. David told me about the wedding. Pause. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. For what it's worth, Patricia continued, you were a great mom. You are a great grandmother. This isn't right. Thank you. Amber talks about boundaries a lot. I think she's scared of being controlled, like her mom controlled her. I'm not her mother. I know, but I don't think she can see that. We talked for a few more minutes. Patricia offered to testify if it came to that, said she'd tell the court what kind of mother I was, what kind of grandmother. I thanked her, hung up. I sat in my car, engine running, hands on the wheel, looking at the lake in the distance. I wasn't protecting the cabin, I was protecting their memories, Emma and Jake's, the childhood they deserved, the family history they had a right to. I thought mediation would solve it. Thought we'd sit down, talk it out, come to an agreement. I was wrong, but I was ready for whatever came next. Patricia called again Thursday night from Denver. How are you holding up? I was honest. Some days better than others. I talked to David yesterday. He's upset, says you're making this bigger than it needs to be. I didn't respond. What could I say? Linda. Patricia's voice softened. You're not making this bigger. They made it big when they cut you out. You're just responding. Does he know about the attorney? He knows you met with someone. Amber told him you mentioned estate planning. He thinks you're updating your will. So they still thought I was playing along. Good. If this goes to court, Patricia said, I'll testify. I'll tell them what kind of mother you were, what kind of grandmother you are. I'll fly in, whatever you need. Thank you. You're doing the right thing, even if it doesn't feel like it. We hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, her words circling. You're doing the right thing. I hoped she was correct. Susan filed the mediation request Monday morning. Professional, formal, court-ordered attempt at resolution. Their attorney responded Wednesday. Mark Foster, same firm that handled David's divorce 6 years ago. I'd paid the bill then, too. Mark's email was short, to the point. Client declines mediation, considers grandmother's involvement intrusive, requests grandmother cease unannounced visits and respect family boundaries. Further contact may result in restraining order filing. I read it 3 times. Restraining order. For what? Dropping off mail once? Susan called. Voice calm, professional. They're trying to intimidate you. It's a tactic. Unannounced visits? You went there once. To drop off mail. At your son's house. What do? We file the petition. Grandparent visitation rights. Court decides. They refuse to negotiate. That works in our favor. Shows we tried the peaceful route. How long? 3 months, maybe 4. Court date gets scheduled. We present evidence. They present their side. Judge rules. 3 months. Summer. Emma would be out of school. Jake would be 5 by then. File it, I said. Susan filed that afternoon. Petition for court-ordered grandparent visitation. Case number, docket, official. David called an hour later. I'd been expecting it. Mom, what are you doing? What'd I have to do? You're suing us? Over Thursdays? Over my grandchildren, who I haven't seen in 2 months, who I raised to love family, who deserve to know their grandmother. Amber says you're trying to control our family. I'm trying to be part of it. Silence. Thick. Heavy. We'll see you in court, I guess. He hung up. I sat there, phone in my hand. My son had just hung up on me. First time in 42 years. Book club that Tuesday. I almost didn't go. Too tired, too stressed. But I went anyway. Janet, Carol, Ruth, already there. They'd been reading the same Michael Connelly for 3 weeks. None of us cared about the book anymore. How are you doing? Carol asked. No pretense. I told them. The mediation. Refusal. The restraining order threat. The petition filing. They were quiet. Then Ruth spoke. My sister went through this. Grandparent alienation. Her daughter-in-law cut her off completely. She didn't fight it. Regrets it every day. You're doing what you have to do, Janet added. Firm. Definite. We didn't talk about the book. We talked about everything else. Normal things. Garden club drama, Ruth's granddaughter's honor roll, Carol's new recipe for lemon bars. It felt good. Normal. A reminder that life existed outside the legal battle. Week later. Friday morning. My phone buzzed. Text message. Amber. Hi, Linda. Can we talk? Just us. Coffee. I stared at the message. Surprised, confused. I texted back. When? Tomorrow. 10 a.m. Starbucks on Main? Okay. I called Susan, asked her advice. Go. Listen, don't agree to anything without talking to me first. This might be good, or it might be a trap. Saturday, 9:55. I arrived early. Didn't want to keep her waiting. Didn't want to seem desperate either. Amber was already there. Corner table. 2 coffees. She'd ordered for me. Regular. Cream. No sugar. She remembered. Hi, Linda. Professional smile, polished, like a sales pitch. Hi. We sat. Awkward silence. I wanted to talk, Amber started. Away from lawyers, away from David. Just us. I waited, said nothing. I know things have been tense. I know you're hurt. I understand. Did she? I have a proposition, a compromise. You drop the petition. We let you see the kids once a month, scheduled, planned, no surprises. Once a month. We'd done every week for 4 years. Once a month, I repeated. It's better than where we are now, and it gives everyone space, healthy boundaries. There it was again. Healthy boundaries. We did every week for 4 years. Now you're offering once a month? Things change, Linda. We're establishing our own family routines now. Once a month is generous. Generous. This isn't a compromise, Amber. This is still you controlling when I see my grandchildren. I'm trying to meet you halfway. Halfway from 0 isn't much. Her expression shifted. Cooler. Professional veneer cracking. You're making a mistake, Linda. This court thing? It's going to get ugly. David's going to testify against you. Then I'll see you in mediation. I stood up, left my coffee, walked out. In the car, my hands were shaking, not from fear, from anger, quiet, steady, controlled. She'd tried to buy me off, once a month, like that was acceptable, like I should be grateful. I texted Susan. She offered once a month. I said no. Susan replied immediately, Good. Don't settle for less than what you had. Monday afternoon, 3 days later, I was in the kitchen, making lunch. Tuna sandwich, nothing special. Doorbell rang. I opened it. David, standing on my porch, and Emma, holding his hand. My heart stopped. Hi, Mom. David's voice, uncomfortable, forced. Emma looked up at me, 6 years old, gap-toothed smile, pink backpack. Nana! She ran to me, hugged my legs. I bent down, hugged her back, breathed her in. Strawberry shampoo. She smelled like strawberries. Hi, sweetie. My voice cracked. David stood there, watching. Emma let go, looked up at me. Nana, are you mad at Mommy? The question hit like a punch. I looked at David. He wouldn't meet my eyes. No, sweetie. I love you. I love your Mommy, too. Emma nodded, seemed satisfied, ran into the house, living room, started looking at my bookshelf, the one with her favorite picture books. David stepped closer, voice low, quiet. Mom, just drop it, please. You're tearing our family apart. I'm trying to keep it together. By suing us? By asking for what we already had. I kept my voice steady, measured. Emma was 10 feet away. David looked exhausted, defeated. Amber's not going to budge. This is just going to get worse. Then we'll let the court decide. He stared at me. Long moment. Then called to Emma. Come on, sweetie, time to go. But I just got here. Emma's voice, disappointed. We have to go. Say bye to Nana. Emma came back, hugged me again. Bye, Nana. I miss you. I miss you too, baby. David took her hand, led her to the car. I stood in the doorway, watching. Emma waved from the back seat. I waved back. David backed out of the driveway, drove away. I closed the door, leaned against it. Then I cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just tears. Silent. Alone. He'd used her. Brought her here. Thinking seeing Emma would break me, make me drop the petition, give up. It almost worked. But I didn't cry until they were gone. I held it together, set my boundary, even when it hurt. The next escalation came Tuesday. Facebook. I'd stopped checking it regularly. Too painful. Too many photos of lives I wasn't part of. But Margaret called. Tuesday afternoon. Linda, have you seen Amber's post? No. What post? You need to look. I opened Facebook, scrolled to Amber's page. New post. Public. Not friends only. Public. Sometimes you have to protect your children from toxic people, even family. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary. 63 likes, 42 comments, friends, family, people I knew. You're so strong. Good for you. Family isn't always blood. She didn't name me. Didn't have to. Everyone knew. I was the toxic person, the one she was protecting her children from. I sat there, phone in hand, reading the comments, watching my reputation dissolve in real time. Margaret's voice on the phone. Linda, you still there? I'm here. Don't respond. Don't engage. Let Susan handle it. I called Susan, forwarded the screenshot. Document it, Susan said. Screenshot, save. This helps our case. She's building a public narrative, makes her look unreasonable, vindictive. But it didn't feel helpful. It felt humiliating. Week later, Margaret stopped by. Wednesday afternoon, garden club day. But she came to my house instead. She didn't bring a casserole this time, just sat on my porch. Direct, blunt. Linda, I love you. You know that. I nodded. But you should have set boundaries earlier. When Amber started limiting visits, you should have said something then. I didn't want to be that mother-in-law. And look where that got you. Not cruel, just honest. You were afraid of being pushy, of being controlling, and now you're fighting for scraps. I felt defensive, hurt. She saw it. I'm sorry, Margaret said softer. You needed support, not criticism. I just meant, you're not being pushy now, you're being honest. I wish you'd been honest earlier. Me too. She hugged me, left. I sat on the porch alone. She was right. I'd let it happen. Slowly, one boundary at a time. And I hadn't fought back until it was almost too late. That weekend, I baked more cookies. Saturday afternoon, chocolate chip, Emma's recipe. I packaged them, labeled them, put them in the freezer. The freezer was completely full now. I'd run out of space. Weeks of cookies, containers stacked, all labeled, all frozen, all waiting. I stared at them, thought about throwing them away. What was the point? But I couldn't. They were hope, frozen hope, that someday Emma and Jake would be in my kitchen again, eating cookies, laughing. I closed the freezer, left them there. Sunday. I drove past the lake cabin, didn't plan to, just found myself on that road. There was a sign, new, bright, professional. For sale, Lakeview Realty. Contact 5555-0142. I pulled over, stared at it. David had done it, listed the cabin, my cabin, without asking, without telling me. I called Susan, left a voicemail, shaking. They listed the cabin, for sale, without my permission. It's in my name. How is this legal? She called back an hour later. It's not. They can't sell property they don't own, but they can list it. Test the market. See what interest looks like. I'll send a cease and desist to the realtor. We'll get it taken down. What if someone makes an offer? Can't close without your signature. You're the owner. They have no legal authority. But the damage was done. The sign was up. The intention was clear. They wanted the cabin, and they thought I'd give it to them. Monday, doctor's appointment, annual checkup, routine. The nurse took my blood pressure, frowned, took it again. 160/95. That's high for you. You're usually 120/80. I've been stressed. I can see that. She made a note. Doctor will want to talk to you about this. Dr. Chen came in, looked at my chart, looked at me. Linda, your blood pressure is concerning. Are you under unusual stress? I told her. Briefly, the lawsuit, the grandchildren, the isolation. You need to manage this. Meditation, walking, exercise. Reduce stress where you can. The thing causing stress is fighting for my grandchildren. I understand, but your health matters too. High blood pressure can lead to serious problems, heart attack, stroke. She prescribed medication, gave me pamphlets, stress management, healthy eating. I left with a prescription and a reminder that this fight was costing me more than money. Susan called Thursday, court date set. Mediation Thursday, June 6th, 10 a.m. County Courthouse, Mediation Room 3. June 6th. Thursday, our old visitation day. The irony wasn't lost on me. 3 days away, I said. 3 days, are you ready? I thought about it. The evidence, the calendar, the emails, the property listing, the Facebook post, everything. I'm ready. But I wasn't sure. I knew what I had to do, but knowing and doing are different things. Mediation was scheduled for Thursday. Everything I'd worked for came down to one meeting. Thursday morning, June 6th, 10 a.m. I arrived at the county courthouse early, 9:30. Susan met me in the parking lot, professional, calm, briefcase in hand. "You ready?" she asked, "as I'll ever be." Margaret was waiting inside. She'd driven me, moral support, sat in the waiting area with her knitting, said she'd be there when I came out. Susan and I took the elevator to the 3rd floor, mediation wing, quiet, carpeted, beige walls, professional, neutral. Room 3, conference room, large table, 8 chairs, water pitchers, notepads, pens. We were first. Susan sat up, opened her briefcase, pulled out folders, documents, evidence, arranged them on the table in front of us. The door opened. Carol Jensen, the mediator, mid-50s, gray suit, kind eyes but firm demeanor. "Good morning. I'm Carol Jensen. I'll be mediating today." She shook our hands, sat at the head of the table. "We're waiting for the other party," she said, checked her watch. "They should be here shortly." 9:55. The door opened again. David, Amber, their attorney Mark Foster. David looked tired, hadn't slept well. Dark circles under his eyes. He glanced at me, looked away. Amber was polished, professional, navy suit, hair perfect, makeup perfect. But I could see tension in her jaw. Mark Foster, 50s, expensive suit, confident. He'd handled David's divorce. Now he was handling this. They sat across from us. The table between us might as well have been the Grand Canyon. Carol opened a folder, reading glasses on. "We're here today to attempt resolution in the matter of Linda Morrison's petition for grandparent visitation rights regarding Emma and Jake Morrison. This is a court-ordered mediation. My role is to facilitate discussion, help both parties reach an agreement if possible." She looked at both sides. "Each party will have the opportunity to present their position. Then we'll work toward finding common ground. This is not a courtroom. This is a conversation. But everything said here can be used in court if we don't reach resolution." She turned to Susan. "Ms. Rothman, would you like to begin?" Susan nodded, opened her folder. "My client, Linda Morrison, is seeking court-ordered visitation with her grandchildren, Emma and Jake Morrison. For 4 years, Linda had an established relationship with these children. Weekly visits, every Thursday, from the time Emma was 2 years old." Susan slid a document across the table. The calendar. Spreadsheet. "This is documentation of those visits. 48 consecutive Thursdays. 4 years. Established routine. Beneficial relationship." Carol looked at the spreadsheet, nodded. Susan continued. "In February of this year, visits began to be limited. Then in March, David and Amber were married. Linda was not informed of the wedding, not invited. Since the wedding, Linda has seen her grandchildren once, for 45 minutes, supervised." Susan slid another document, text messages, cancellation excuses. "My client has attempted to maintain the relationship. She has been met with resistance, cancellations, excuses, finally, refusal." Carol made notes. Quiet. Professional. Susan looked at me, nodded. My turn. I took a breath, looked at David, at Amber, then at Carol. "I need you to understand something." My voice steady, measured. "I raised David alone after his father died. I gave him everything I had. I'm proud of the man he became, but I won't disappear because it's convenient." I glanced at Emma and Jake's photos on the table. Susan had brought them. Emma and Jake deserve to know their grandmother, and I deserve to be part of their lives. I'm not here to control anyone's family. I'm here because I love my grandchildren. I kept going. The words I'd practiced, the boundaries I needed to set. For 4 years, every Thursday, Emma and Jake came to my house. We baked, we gardened. We went to the lake cabin their grandfather built with his hands. After the wedding I wasn't invited to, those visits stopped. I looked directly at Amber, then David. I understand boundaries, but this isn't boundaries. This is erasure, and I won't accept it quietly. I sat back, hands in my lap, steady. Carol turned to Mark. "Mr. Foster, your client's position?" Mark leaned forward, professional, rehearsed. "My clients appreciate everything Linda has done for their family. However, they believe Linda has become increasingly intrusive, overstepping boundaries, making parenting decisions without consultation." He slid his own documents across, a list, typed, itemized. Examples include correcting parenting decisions in front of the children, providing sugar against stated dietary restrictions, questioning family scheduling choices, and expressing disapproval of marital decisions. I stared at the list. Birthday cake. That's what he meant. Emma's birthday. The candles. Amber spoke, voice controlled, professional. "I respect Linda, but we need space to raise our children our way. My own mother was controlling, overbearing. I went no contact when I was 23. I won't repeat that pattern with my children." She looked at Carol, not at me. "Linda sees us as an extension of her family, but we're our own family now. We need independence, autonomy." David shifted, uncomfortable. He hadn't said anything yet. Carol turned to him. "Mr. Morrison, do you have anything to add?" David looked at his hands, quiet, then spoke. "I love my mom. I do, but Amber's right. We need to establish our own routines, our own way of doing things." Carol made notes, then asked the question I'd been dreading. "Mr. Morrison, did you inform your mother about your wedding?" Silence. Long. Heavy. "No." David's voice quiet. "Why not?" David glanced at Amber, then at me. Wouldn't hold eye contact. "Because I knew she'd be hurt. I was afraid to tell her." Pause. The room held its breath. Amber thought it would be easier this way. Clean break from the past. "I wasn't the past," I said quietly. "I was your mother." Carol wrote something, nodded. "Let's look at the evidence Ms. Rothman has provided." Susan spread documents across the table, physical evidence. Between us, the calendar, green highlights, red highlights, visual pattern, text screenshots, chronologically arranged. "Kids are busy." "Not a good time." Activities. Property inquiry. County records. David's name. Market assessment. $385,000. Real estate email. "Your son said you were thinking about downsizing." Facebook screenshots. Amber's post. "Sometimes you have to protect your children from toxic people." Witness statements, Margaret's documentation. "I observed weekly visits for 4 years. Pattern ceased abruptly post-wedding." Patricia's statement. "Linda was a devoted mother and is a devoted grandmother. This is not control. This is love." Carol looked at the evidence, picked up the calendar, studied it. "This is quite thorough," she said. Amber saw the Facebook screenshot. Her expression shifted, realized we'd documented it. Mark looked uncomfortable, hadn't expected this level of detail. Carol set down the calendar, looked at David. "Mr. Morrison, did you request a market assessment for your mother's lake property?" David shifted. "Yes." "Did your mother know about this?" "No." "Why did you request it?" Silence. David looked at Amber. Amber spoke instead. "The cabin is a lot of property for one person. We thought Linda might want to downsize. We were exploring options." "Without her knowledge?" Carol's voice neutral, but pointed. "We were going to discuss it with her," Amber said, less confident now. Carol made more notes. Then she addressed Amber directly. "Ms. Morrison, can you explain the Facebook post?" Amber's jaw tightened. That was personal. Not about Linda specifically. "It was posted 2 days after the petition was filed. Public, with no name. but clearly referencing family. I was venting, processing. By calling someone toxic? Amber's voice cracked slightly. First emotion I'd seen. My mother controlled every aspect of my life, every decision, every choice. I had to leave, cut her off completely. I can't let that happen with my children. Tears, actual tears, sliding down her cheek. I'm protecting them from being controlled, from losing their autonomy, from being manipulated. I sat there, watching, seeing her pain, real fear, her mother, the wound that never healed. I understood where her fear came from, her own mother, the trauma she carried, but I wasn't her mother, and my grandchildren weren't weapons in a war I didn't start. I spoke, quiet, firm. I'm not your mother, Amber. I never tried to control you, or David, or Emma and Jake. I just wanted to be their grandmother. Amber wiped her eyes, said nothing. Carol let the silence sit, then spoke. I'm hearing two things. Linda wants a relationship with her grandchildren that she helped raise for 4 years. Amber wants autonomy in parenting decisions without feeling controlled. She looked at both sides. These aren't mutually exclusive. She proposed a structure. Visitation schedule, every other Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., 1 weekday afternoon per month. Flexible scheduling with 2 weeks' notice. Major holidays alternate. This year, Linda gets Thanksgiving. Amber and David get Christmas. Next year, reverse. She continued. Communication. Linda contacts David, not Amber. Reduces tension. Boundaries. Linda doesn't give parenting advice during visits. Amber and David don't restrict contact outside the agreed schedule. She looked at the lake cabin documentation. The property issue. Linda's cabin remains in her name. Protected trust for Emma and Jake. They inherit at age 25. David named as trustee with condition that he maintains Linda's visitation rights. Carol looked at both sides. This gives Emma and Jake consistency, relationship with their grandmother, gives everyone breathing room. Mark whispered to Amber and David. Quiet discussion. David looked exhausted. I just want this to end. Amber turned to Linda. If I agree to this, will you drop the petition? If this works, yes. Amber hesitated. And the cabin? The cabin stays in my name until I die. Then it goes to Emma and Jake. Not you, not David, my grandchildren. Susan added, we can put that in writing. Protected trust, legally binding. Mark looked at the proposal, looked at his clients. That's fair. Amber's expression hard to read, torn. Finally, she nodded. Fine. Carol pulled out mediation agreement forms, started writing. Let's draft this, make it binding. The next hour was details, specific dates, holiday schedules, communication protocols, trust language. Susan reviewed everything, made notes, adjusted wording. Finally, Carol read the terms aloud. When she finished, she looked at both sides. Are we in agreement? I looked at the paper. Every other Saturday, 1 weekday per month, holidays alternating. It wasn't what we'd had. It wasn't every Thursday, but it was something. Yes, I said. David nodded. Yes. Amber hesitated. Then, yes. We signed. All of us. Linda Morrison, David Morrison, Amber Morrison, witnesses Susan, Mark, Carol, court-ordered, binding, enforceable. Carol stood. This agreement is filed with the court. Any violations can be addressed through legal channels. I hope you won't need that. I hope this works for your family. She shook our hands, left the room. Mark gathered his papers. David and Amber stood. David looked at me, brief, uncomfortable. See you Saturday, Mom. See you Saturday. They left. Susan and I sat there, papers in front of us, signed agreement. When Carol read the terms aloud, I didn't feel victorious, just tired, relieved. We'd spent 2 hours negotiating what used to be natural, but I'd take scheduled over nothing. Susan squeezed my hand. You did it. I nodded, couldn't speak yet. We gathered the documents, left the mediation room. Margaret was still in the waiting area, knitting. She looked up, saw my face. "Well, we have an agreement. Every other Saturday." Margaret smiled, hugged me. "That's good, that's something." We signed the agreement Thursday afternoon. Our first visit was scheduled for Saturday, 2 days away. Saturday morning, June 8th, 10:03. I'd been awake since 6, made coffee, straightened the living room, put fresh flowers on the table, pink roses, Emma's favorite. The cookies were already out, defrosted from the freezer. 3 batches, chocolate chip, waiting, 10:03. David's truck pulled into the driveway. Emma and Jake ran to the door. I opened it. Emma hugged me first, then Jake. "Nana!" Emma's voice. Hi, excited. "We missed you." "I missed you too, sweetie." David stood in the driveway, didn't come to the door, just watched. Brief nod. 3 o'clock, he said. 3 o'clock, I repeated. He left, drove away. 5 hours. Emma and Jake and me. We baked first, chocolate chip cookies. Emma remembered the recipe, knew it by heart. Jake cracked the eggs, got shell in the bowl. We fished it out, laughed. Then the garden. Emma helped deadhead the roses. Jake dug holes for new bulbs. Tulips, yellow, for fall. Lunch, sandwiches, cut into triangles, the way Emma liked them. Apple slices for Jake. We didn't talk about the lawsuit, the mediation, the months apart. We just were. Together. Normal. 2:55. I started cleaning up, getting ready. Emma looked at the clock. "Do we have to go?" "Your dad's coming at 3. Can we come back next week?" 2 weeks, every other Saturday. That's not enough. I bent down, looked at her. 6 years old, gap-toothed smile. "It's what we have, sweetie, and I'll take it." 3 o'clock. David's truck, right on time. Emma and Jake hugged me goodbye, ran to the car. Emma waved from the back seat. I waved back, stood on the porch, watched them drive away. Then I went inside, closed the door, sat at the kitchen table. It wasn't what we'd had. It wasn't every Thursday. It wasn't spontaneous. It was scheduled, measured, controlled. But they'd been here, in my kitchen, laughing, baking, alive. That was something. The legal fees came the following week. Susan's final bill, $8,500. I paid it from my retirement savings, the same account I'd used for David's college. His down payment. His divorce attorney, $8,500, for 5 hours every 2 weeks with my grandchildren. I didn't regret it, but I felt it. The weight, the cost. David's legal fees were probably similar, strain on his finances, Amber's too. Nobody won, not really. We just reached terms. My relationship with David changed, cordial but distant, scheduled pickups, brief exchanges at the door, no more Sunday phone calls, no more casual coffee visits. He'd chosen. Amber over me, his wife over his mother. I understood, but it hurt. Amber and I had 0 contact. The agreement was clear. Linda communicates with David only, not Amber, ever. I was fine with that. We'd tried. Failed. Legal boundaries were clearer than personal ones. Patricia stayed close. Called every week from Denver, texted updates, checked in. "You did what you had to do," she said, again and again, like a mantra. She flew in for Thanksgiving. My year per the agreement. Stayed in the spare room, we cooked together, drank wine, talked about everything except David. Sometimes crisis shows you who stays. Patricia stayed. The small town talk was inevitable. People took sides. Some supported me. Some thought I'd gone too far, sued my own son, over visits. I heard the whispers. Grocery store, garden club, church. "Did you hear about Linda Morrison?" Took them to court. Over grandchildren. I stopped explaining. Stopped defending. I knew what I'd done. That was enough. Margaret stopped by the following Tuesday, yellow tulips in hand, my favorite. We didn't talk about the mediation, didn't need to. We sat on the porch with coffee. She told me about garden club drama, Patty's roses beating hers at the county fair again. Normal gossip, normal Tuesday. She checks on me now, every week, same way I used to check on David. Too much checking, Amber would say. Margaret calls it friendship. After everything, I learned something. The family you choose matters as much as the family you're given. Margaret chose me. That counts for something. Susan called a week after the agreement, not about the case, just checking in. "How's it going with the visits?" she asked. I told her about Saturday, Emma's cookies, Jake's fort in the yard. "Good," she said, "that's what we fought for." She'd seen hundreds of cases like mine, grandparents erased, families fractured. "Most don't fight back," she said. "You did." She didn't send a bill for that call. Some things aren't billable hours. They're just human decency. Book club resumed, Tuesday evenings, Barnes and Noble, same table, same friends. Janet brought wine. Carol brought questions I didn't answer. Ruth brought chocolate. "You did what you had to do," they said, like a chorus, every Tuesday. They'd watch me disappear for weeks, made sure I wouldn't disappear again. Community isn't always blood. Sometimes it's just people who notice when you're gone. 2 weeks after the mediation, I met with a different attorney, a state specialist, not Susan, someone who focused on wills and trusts. We updated everything. The lake cabin, protected trust. Emma and Jake listed as beneficiaries, accessible at age 25. David named as trustee, conditional. Must maintain my visitation rights per court order. If he violates the agreement, Patricia becomes trustee instead. The heirloom engagement ring, Tom's grandmother's ring, set aside for Emma, not daughter-in-law's discretion. Emma gets it at 18. Her choice what to do with it. Medical power of attorney, Margaret as primary, Patricia as backup, not David. That trust was broken. I signed everything, filed it, gave copies to Susan. Whatever happened next, the cabin was safe. The ring was protected. My medical decisions were mine. I was protecting what Tom built. Not from David, from Amber's fear. 3 weeks post-agreement. My phone buzzed. Text message. Amber. "Linda, I know this is awkward. I'm trying. The kids love their Saturdays with you. Maybe we can talk sometime. Not about the past, just moving forward. I hope we can be civil for Emma and Jake's sake." I stared at the message. Read it twice. She was trying, in her way. I didn't respond immediately, waited 24 hours, thought about it. Then I typed, "Amber, I appreciate the message. I'm trying too. The kids are what matter. I'm not interested in revisiting the past, but I'm open to being civil for Emma and Jake's sake. One step at a time. Linda." I hit send. Not warm, not cold, just honest. Boundaries clear, future uncertain, but doors not completely closed. That Saturday, Emma and I planted a rose bush in the garden, together, pink, Emma's favorite color. "What should we name it?" Emma asked, hands dirty, smiling. "Emma's rose," I said. She helped dig the hole. Jake watered it. We patted the soil down. Careful, gentle, annual ritual established. Tend the rose together. Watch it grow. Gardens need tending. So do relationships. This one would grow. Slowly, carefully, with boundaries. But it would grow. 6 months passed. The agreement held. Not perfectly. David was late twice. Once by 20 minutes, once by 45. But he came. Every other Saturday. Like clockwork. Emma and Jake came to my house. We baked, we gardened. We talked about Grandpa Tom, the lake cabin, summer plans. It wasn't what I'd imagined, but it was real. 6 months later, December, Saturday morning. Emma and Jake sat at my kitchen table. Emma teaching Jake how to crack eggs properly. 3rd batch of cookies this month. She had the technique down now. Confident, careful. I stood at the counter, coffee in hand, watching, not narrating, not directing, just being present. Jake cracked an egg. No shell this time. He looked up, proud. I did it, Nana. You did, buddy. Emma measured flour, humming, some song from school. I didn't know it. Didn't need to. This was enough. These Saturday mornings, this kitchen, these kids. I'd fought for this. Court, lawyers, evidence, mediation, $8,500, months of stress, blood pressure medication, relationships changed forever. And here we were, making cookies, like we always had. Different now, scheduled, every other Saturday, 10 to 3, not spontaneous, not every Thursday, not the way it used to be, but real. My relationship with David remained cordial but distant. Pickups at the door, brief exchanges. How was school? Good. See you in 2 weeks. See you then. The Sunday phone calls never came back. The casual coffee visits ended. He'd made his choice. Amber, his marriage, his family unit. I understood, but I'd made my choice too. Emma and Jake, my grandchildren, my right to be part of their lives. Some relationships don't heal, they just scar over. That's where David and I were. Scarred, functional, but not what we had been. Amber and I never spoke. Zero contact, per agreement, all communication through David. It worked. Easier that way. Less conflict, clear boundaries. I wasn't angry anymore, not at her, not at David, just tired, and at peace with what was. I spent 43 years being the good one, the accommodating one, the one who kept the peace, the one who didn't make waves. I thought standing up for myself made me the problem mother-in-law, the controlling one, the one Amber feared I'd become. But boundaries work both ways. I'm not sorry I fought. I'm sorry I had to. I don't know what happens when Emma turns 13, wants independence, stops baking cookies. Maybe Saturdays end naturally then, but they won't end because someone erased me. That's the difference. The lake cabin sat exactly as Tom left it. 42 Lakeview Drive. Protected trust filed with the county. Emma Morrison and Jake Morrison. Beneficiaries accessible at 25. Tom built that cabin with his hands. Emma and Jake fish off that dock. Summer plans already made. Next June, 2 weeks, just us. That was worth protecting. My will gets reviewed every year. Updated, current. The heirloom ring stays set aside for Emma, 18 years old. Her choice, her legacy. Medical power of attorney, Margaret, Patricia backup. My decisions, my life, my terms. I volunteer at the senior center now, once a month, grandparent support group. Facilitated by a social worker, 8 to 12 people each meeting. I don't run it, don't lead it, just show up, listen. Tell them what I learned when they ask. One woman asked last month, "You sued your own son." "I sued for my grandchildren," I said. Different thing. I'm not an activist, not a crusader, just available, sharing what worked, what didn't, what cost. Some fight, some don't. I don't judge either way. Everyone's situation is different, but I show up. That's something. Margaret still brings casseroles, still checks on me every week. Tuesday coffee, garden club Wednesdays. We planted Emma's rose together last spring. It bloomed pink in July. Beautiful. Margaret inspired someone, Patty, from Garden Club. She's filing for visitation with her grandson. Asked me about attorneys. I gave her Susan's card. "You inspired this," Margaret said. "I didn't inspire anything. I just refused to disappear." That's the inspiration. Book club still meets. Same table, same Tuesdays. Janet, Carol, Ruth. We've moved past Michael Connolly. Finally. Reading Louise Penny now. Canadian mysteries. Better. They're there when I need them. I'm there when they need me. Community isn't always blood. I have a life. Smaller than before. Quieter. But mine. Ranch house. Paid off. Garden. Roses blooming. Book club. Margaret. Susan occasionally for coffee. Patricia at holidays. It's not the life I planned, but it's the life I have. If you're going through something similar, and I know many of you are, here's what I learned. Documentation matters. Keep records, dates, visits, cancellations. It feels petty. It's not. It's evidence. Boundaries work both ways. You can respect their parenting and still expect to be part of your grandchildren's lives. Both things can be true. Professional help isn't failure. Attorneys, mediators, therapists, they exist for a reason. Use them. Fighting back doesn't make you the villain. Disappearing quietly doesn't make you the saint. Sometimes love means standing up, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Present day. Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock. David's truck in the driveway. Emma hugged me goodbye. Cookies in a container. For home. See you next Saturday, Nana. See you next Saturday, sweetie. Jake hugged me too. Chocolate on his face. I wiped it off. He giggled. David nodded from the truck. Brief. Professional. I nodded back. They drove away. I stood on the porch, watched until the truck turned the corner. Then I went inside. Kitchen. Cleaned up. Put the mixing bowls away. Wiped down the counter. Emma's drawing on the fridge. New one from today. Crayon. Stick figures. Pink rose in the corner. I love Nana in crooked letters. I smoothed it flat. Made sure the magnet held. On the counter, my calendar. Open to December. Next Saturday marked. Green. 14 days away. I'd fought for this. These green Saturdays, this kitchen, these drawings, these kids. I didn't get the son back. Not the way he was. The relationship we had. That's gone. Maybe forever. But I got my grandchildren. 2 Saturdays a month. Holidays alternating. Phone calls on Wednesdays sometimes. Emma telling me about school. Jake about his new friend. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and I was still standing. Some days I still can't believe it happened, but I'm here. I'm standing. Next Saturday, 14 days away. I keep a calendar now. Green for visits. I can wait 14 days. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have fought back or let it go? Have you been through something similar with your own family? Let me know in the comments. Sometimes just knowing you're not alone makes all the difference.